Alright, so pot, grass, dope, ganja, marijuana. All these terms mean the same thing and are all met with the same negative connotation. Marijuana is for lazy people, marijuana is for druggies, marijuana is addictive, marijuana is dangerous. But is this really the truth? Marijuana has become very present in today's society and economy, and as of 2015, the view of marijuana has changed drastically, starting from the 30s to now, but the negative perspective is still very present today. In this presentation, I will not tell you that marijuana is good or bad, but about its potential, and how that potential has caused a great shift in public opinion and is even affecting American politics today. So, cannabis wasn't really seen as negative or as dangerous until around the 30s, but before then it was commonly used as a medicinal herb by doctors as early as the 1800s. In fact, in America, marijuana's prime as a medical treatment was from 1840 to 1900. And by then, over 100 medical papers have been published recommending its use. However, once the 1930s came about, public opinion rapidly shifted and they saw marijuana as a very violent drug and very negatively. And this was mostly due to Harry J. Anslinger, the head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics at the time. And his educational campaigns, now commonly referred to as misinformation campaigns, describe marijuana as a killer drug. To make matters worse, the government released a documentary known as Reefer Madness, showing how high school teenagers under the influence of marijuana went crazy and killed their parents. Soon there were hundreds of PSAs and films filled with racial stereotypes and just negativity and false facts, showing how the devil weed would make white women want to sleep with black men and teens just constantly want to have sex. Moving on to the hippie era, and marijuana users and marijuana patients are now being put under the Narcotic Control Act of 1956. And while marijuana is not a narcotic, it is legally treated as such. It is scheduled as a Schedule I drug along with heroin and cocaine, and even though the properties are not the same, this was all due to the 30s fear. So even though all this is happening with the laws and the war on drugs is very strong at this point, people no longer see marijuana as a dangerous drug. In fact, based off of an article from 1967, there is no direct relationship between the commission of crimes of violence and marijuana. And this is also the time of peace protests against the Vietnam War. And while activists and hippies were known to typically use marijuana, the public generally saw them as either peace rebels or just plain old lazy, rebellious teens going against their responsibilities. So overall, the public opinion of marijuana is still not a positive one until around 1978, when the public actually started demanding legislatures, starting with New Mexico and dozens of states, to recognize marijuana's medicinal properties, thus starting the wave of positivity and support that is very present in today's society. In fact, when it comes to the polls, people, when asked if they saw a high risk with smoking marijuana once or twice a week, the percentage of people who said yes went from 51% to 40% from 2002 to 2012. And this statistic is still rapidly changing. Even more states are starting to rethink their laws, and states like Colorado and Washington have already legalized medical marijuana and are even allowing the recreational use of it. There is a lot of revenue that comes with the taxation of marijuana, and even people who are seeing all these changes happening in those states are starting to support marijuana legalization. And today, America is at its most accepting of marijuana. So, it is clear that the social shift is there, but the political shift is happening at a much slower rate. And why is this a problem? Research is very limited. So why does this matter to us? People are afraid and will make false presumptions of what they do not understand. And understanding comes with education. If doctors had the proper funding for research and proper authorization to be able to study controversial issues like marijuana, who knows how many more alternatives we would have for expensive treatments or how many more advances we could make in our economy. Marijuana might just be the start of a wave of doctors and politicians who aren't afraid to think outside the box and cross certain social assumptions to try to find advances for the American lives. Thank you.